the skies, and so will the plane be. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go into the first game of Erangel in the BGIS Grand Final, Day 1!
My, oh my, you can see the planes are hovering all the way through here in the map of Erangel. It seems like it's going to be from the northwest section of the map of Erangel. Might be passing through Ferry Pier, heading towards military. So a pretty western map oriented here for this drop spot. So I'm extremely excited to see who's going to have that advantage here. In particular, it's going to be teams coming from Hospital, teams coming from Gatka as well potentially. They have an easy rotation to kind of pull towards the middle lane. But of course, the people who's looking to go towards 70 Starboard, they are going to reach there a little bit later here.
Yeah, it is going to be a difficult rotation for them. If you want to head towards Severny, even Yasnaya Poliana is going to be a little bit tricky. Mansion Prison, extremely far away from that flight path. But we were just speaking about Revenant a few moments ago, and we talked about that Miltra drop that is theirs for them to take control of in the early stages. Now things become interesting. How does Revenant reach their city? Along with them, we have to focus on that Georgopol area first and foremost, because we will expect 3 teams at least to be in that position.
Well, when it comes to Georgopol, obviously, you know, if you want to shake things up, you have to take into consideration that the flight path came from there. So whoever lands early first is going to get their resource a little bit quicker compared to the rest. However, Circle, okay, this is interesting. I mean, because, you know, it is going to be on the west side, but it seems like we are going to see a little bit of action down south here.
And this is going to be very interesting what happens on that southern military island, because now we also have X-Park dropping on Ferry Pier and Query, and they've gone for a split drop with Pukar on that military island.
Yeah, and Pukar, you know, I think he's trying to deny some of the resources here to get a little bit information to try and camp the west side. But oh, on the screen we do see Soria already taking a kill onto his Axe on the sides, and also actions are coming in.
Exactly, CSE Sports on the move. One of the players was actually softened up a little bit too much, and this is where Night Owls is actually doing a fantastic job. Dreams around side the players. Does he want to go for the chase against the enemies that are in the front? And the chase happens. One man is way too low. The shot's coming to play, and Dream finds the connection on both of them. Leo Whitey, oh, he's done a fantastic job over there.
Oh my goodness, what a way to start here for Dreams, because this is something we did not expect. But for them to have 3 finishes right from the get-go, this is going to give them that initial morale boost coming in towards map 1.
Yeah, for sure. And Night Owls is one of those teams that relies heavily on their in-game momentum. So getting these 3 eliminations early means that Night Owls might just go for a very aggressive game in match 1 of the day itself. Now, the interesting thing over here is that it is Dream started things off, although always it has been clear from the side of Night Owls who has been the star player. So we are going to have to wait for that man to get into his zone.
You know, I had a little bit of chat here with a lot of teams. In particular, is going to be Midwave Esports. They were joking around that like Night Owls are a team that may potentially be the best, but there has been a lot of doubts coming in. But guess what? Right from the get-go, Bram, you underestimate us, we are going to just completely demolish you.
Exactly. This is why Night Owls had to start this way. The reason people were making fun of them, were doubtful about them, was because they barely qualified from the semis to the finals. But now that they are here, they have a statement to make.
Wow. What a way to start things off. Expect the unexpected. Necro, I'm pretty sure you're extremely hyped up for this. What are your thoughts on Night Owls?
Night Owls is one of those teams that came in out of nowhere and took all of us by storm. That's all I'm going to say.
Wow. A statement here coming from Necro. Expect the unexpected. When you lower your guard, when you least expect the enemy, the bear will pounce at you at the right moment. And of course, now, I haven't chat with Revenant Esports analysts. They say they are going to switch up their rotations, and it seems like they're taking a little bit of slow path down south, but surprise, surprise, something's actually happening in Yasnaya, because normally we would expect 2 teams coming in. What happened here?
Yeah, I mean, Yasnaya Poliana this time, it seems like no one doesn't really want to go ahead and challenge the players of God's Ring. Growing strong, they've rerouted.
Yeah, they have rerouted themselves again. A major reason for this is the flight path. Even God's Rain, they have finally made their way to Yasnaya Polyana, but it was a risky move in the early stages. They dropped towards that Georgopol city, picked up the vehicles from there, and then rotated from the northern part of the map to Yasnaya.
Well, growing strong. They're playing on the north side. They're sharing the resources thus far. And the thing about the way they play in terms of this playstyle, I feel like growing strong is always getting shoved away by God's Rain. It seems like God's Rain is going to be the bully in Yasnaya.
Yeah, always. God's Rain have always done that to any team that has challenged them in their home ground. But growing strong, they've figured out a way around it. They go around the western flank and try to take control of the compounds with the vehicles.
Yep. And speaking of compounds here as well, you know, think about this, right? Night Owls, they're just going to be finishing off all the members here coming from CS, and it's great because considering how the flight path was a little bit awkward, so it makes a lot of sense why they would kind of test early vehicles to try and rotate quickly to their usual drop spots. So because of that, a lot of late, I would say, teams that is going to be forced to rotate far away is going to be meeting each other rather early. So that is going to hurt them a lot in terms of overall economy, overall placement points. So I feel like in terms of getting all this fights and finishes, it all comes down to scoring as many points as possible, because this is day one. People are not going to be it's going to be a difference between people with experience and people with inexperience dealing with the pressure and the setups of the entire tournament.
That is very true. I mean, especially in a stage like this where you know you're going to have to start a day on a stronger note, it is very important that you have a big game in the first match that you play. Although we have to point out, I mean, the cluster that is there on the eastern part of the map, I'm expecting a massive collision to happen in the stage too.
Now, speaking of collision, east side here, Yasnaya, they've got to get out, because in terms of rotation-wise, a lot of teams, TWM has pretty much secured themselves all the way in South Georgia all the way through 4 a.m., looking to kind of hunker down towards the apartments of North Georgopol. Meanwhile, nobody going towards Quarry or Gatka. It seems like nobody is expecting this circle to kind of shift down south. Why is that here?
I mean, the southern shift is going to be very difficult to challenge if it happens, because at this point of the game, usually what would happen is TWM would challenge Everest, the hill south of Georgopol. They would take control of that high ground, and as soon as a team is there on that mountain, it becomes a very difficult rotation for anyone who's trying to rotate down south. Plus, in a circle like this, there is a probability that during the later stages, it might just move up north ever so slightly, take that northern shift towards northern Georgopol, and I think for teams, they feel like it is better to have that northern position. Moving down south becomes a little bit easier due to the fights.
Yep, and speaking of which here, this is going to be some stats for you guys down the bottom right, because CS, they've lost 3 members, so he is going to be playing a little bit of a rat strategy all the way through. Hopefully he is going to be able to score some placement points, but so far all 16 teams still alive. Glitch X also losing 1. This is going to be very concerning for fans of Glitch X and CS. But now, let's talk a little bit more on GDR down towards the south. They have to lift the military. What do you think they are going to be planning right here?
Look, their rotation has been pretty much the same one, right? Just rotate out from the Fairfair Bridge. Do not really try to overthink a lot of the scenarios. They just try to pull off a casual rotation. The only thing that really works out in their favor is that, considering any team, if they do drop down towards the military island, the first thing while they're going to rotate out is probably it's going to be a late rotation. If you're going to go down south to the military island, you will need to rotate late. And that's where you do get the advantage of because who's going to stay back and try to hold down the bridge for at least a couple of moments more in the initial phase of the game, because you would want to position yourself in a better spot inside the circle.
Well, wouldn't you say it's a strategy to kind of take off all those high-tier loots coming from military? Because if you think about it here, tanking to a circle and just to make sure the military guys don't come up, wouldn't you say that's also a possibility that may happen?
I mean, there is a possibility of that happening, and there's a very high probability as well. I mean, for a team like Gladiators that likes to play extremely slow, it is going to be very interesting to see where they go from here.
Oh my goodness, the circle just shifted down south. We were just talking about it here as well. Every single team in the northern side, and now they're rushing desperately to try and make circle 3 down towards the south side as well. Teams from the east side had a late rotation here. They are going to be struggling about this. Necro, I feel bad for everyone from the east side, because they are desperately going to be looking for actions.
Of course, a lot of the teams are actually going to get stuck in the rotation. once again, Night Owls chimes inside the action. Roxy finds 2 knockouts all by himself. Night Owls right now, these guys are definitely the Batmans inside the map of Erangel. They're being the Guardian Angels, not letting anyone invade their privacy. Even somewhere else on the map, you see the players of Midwave 2 hitting the body. This is not really the good news for them.
Wow, what a way to start things off for Night Owls when you least expected. Nobody was paying attention to how they usually rotate and spawning. And guess what? They come in swinging. They find ways to get points. And now we're going to see a contest coming in for as well.
Oh, no.
Even Ranadip now getting challenged from CSE Sports all by himself. Needs to fight against the entirety of Midway. But that drop shot from Dynasys seals the deal and shuts that last guy down. CSE Sports is the first team to take an exit from the entire lobby. But once again, the fight's not stopped just here. There's a lot of fights coming soon.
Well, superstitions are about to happen, but in the play zone, we do see Revenant also losing a member for themselves.
Yeah.
Maybe a knock coming in. However, let's talk a little bit more on how Night Owls is going to be thinking here, because in terms of their strategy, they are being underestimated right now, and being in 15th place right now guaranteed. They have 5 finishes. I feel like they're taking advantage of the warm-up games, the morning jitters, considering that it is game 1 for the grand finals.
So what happens in competitive is quite simple. Usually at the start of any tournament particular stage, teams will like to play slow, but Night Owls, they have been one of the most aggressive teams that we have seen come through the open qualifiers, and that is the reason they're putting that aggression to good use. If they can get an advantage in the early stage of these grand finals, it's going to be very difficult to beat this team. And along with them, I think, as you mentioned, Revenant and Midwave in that middle pack towards the eastern edge of the circle, I have to see how these two teams actually manage to survive, because Night Owls is looking for Midwave actively. Revenant, although I think have already rotated out.
Now, speaking of which here, we do see a couple of teams already hunkering down towards outskirts of Gatka. Glitch X in particular is going to be laying down low to try and save up resources, as well as potentially to snake their way into open fields here as a possibility. Even a buggy being stored out to try and hold the compound to try and make up their camps here. Do you think that the Glitch X is going to be able to overcome top? But meanwhile, top side as well, we do see TWM with a couple of vehicles themselves.
Yeah, as I said, I mean, TWM, they always like to go for this Everest control as quickly as possible, because this mountain becomes a very high priority position in any western circle in Erangel. It's the highest peak of the map. You can actually scout the surroundings of Gatka, and for a team like TWM, it's about racking finishes.
And also considering it's the first game of the day, everyone would want to have a good start to themselves. Like, that's just the main priority for these teams. If you're going to be able to kick things off on a fantastic note, things will be ending up good for you too. And if you do get a high ground control, well, that's just the added info for yourself.
Agreed. Speaking of late rotations here, mid-wave, right from the get-go, they're taking a very, very slow one as well. They're still tanking on the Circle 2. Circle 3 also going to be hitting as well. They are going to be in a very, very difficult position, because in terms of mats here, look at this. Atanki's down to his last first aid kit, and they have no information on where the Circle is going to be going in, and they're also a man down.
2,000 meters. They have to travel 2,000 meters to reach the safe haven, to reach the safe zone if they want to protect themselves. And even if this team actually makes it into the next circle, they will have to go through so many teams.
My goodness.
Look at that cluster on that eastern shoreline. My God. And look at who is smack in the center. It is X-Pac.
Exactly, and once again, we're probably going to see a lot of these rotation clash coming into play, considering this was a hard shift, and now we just see a huge wave of vehicles moving inside the circle.
Now, we had a glimpse onto the east side as well. OR, they are going to be trying to dodge here. They're pretty much being pinched in a long crossfire for X-Pac, but meanwhile, on screen now, we see OR.
OR versus 4AM. This is indeed quite a nice fight, but Jelly throws out in the open, goes for the mid, gets caught, and now it's all down to Admina. Pulls out the TBS, and that's it. One pump to the opponent's face, and the entirety of 4AM, they come crashing down.
But OR here, they're facing a third party from the players of X-Pac. They've already lost 2 to the opposition.
And at the same time, things are going to be a little bit of trouble here, because 4AM, they're looking to play a little bit more aggressive. OR losing 2 men. They are going to be having a very difficult time to hold down this compound, because this 2 shelters here requires at least a 4-man team, a 2-2 split to kind of hold down this crowd. And it's interesting enough as well. Let's talk a little bit more on formations, because 4AM finishing out in 15th place. Meanwhile, we do see Gods as well taking a very strategic position to try and get space to get information and pressure people on the sides.
Oh, the man who was able to pop off in the initial phases has now been knocked out from Night Owls. This might just be a big hand being cut off, and Night Owls might just start things off inside the late game a little bit more in a handicap way. But TWM, now they clash the compound. This is not a good news for the players of Night Owls, considering TWM, they've got the man advantage inside this entire fight. Nade's being tossed inside the compound, but a return fire comes into play. Instead, it's from the players of MICI Esports, a little bit of third party. Now TWM in a big world of trouble. Things are not looking too good for them. But now the stances have been evened out. It's a 3v3 fight inside the compound. Night Owls, they have a fighting chance.
Yeah, they have to reset this as well, and they have to do this quickly because if you think about this, you're 35 seconds left, circle is going to be closing in, teams are going to be looking to find their individual spots. 14 teams left in this circle. They have to wrap this up quickly as well, especially against Night Owls.
Utilities is something they will need to dodge over here. A lot of these nades being tossed in, even the Molotovs now tossed in. The floor is of course going to be lava at this point in time. But if the fight elongates, there's the possibility of the third parties coming in from everywhere else. So this fight needs to be wrapped up right here, right now. All the players of Night Owls just pinned inside that single house on the upper floor. Things not looking too good.
Oh boy, this is a very difficult situation here for both TWM as well as Night Owls. Night Owls pretty much secure themselves in the top side of the grid, and it makes a lot of sense, right? Circle favors them a little bit here. They know this spot, this house is here, this compound is going to be one of the strongest ones. However, they are bleeding out resources. However, we do get a nade up top, so that's going to be a knock coming in.
Exactly. Finally, the opening the players of TWM were looking out for. A couple of more nade tossed out in the front line, but once again, not able to find that second connection that they desperately do need to. Sams has even softened up in that moment, but TWM, they finally make that push happen. Night Owls, now they need to stop this breakout against the players of TWM, and that's why they're just tossing out all the Molotovs in the front lines. Now the floor's lava, and every single player from TWM, they're suffocating to their death, but the return knock comes into play, and Cleo gets knocked out from Night Owls. This is not a good news. Even Sams is knocked out in return, but still Night Owls, they're on the verge of getting eliminated. Nate being tossed in. It's a 1v1 on the opposite side. Who do you think is going to come out?
Oh no, Draco, he needs to pick up Cleo. No! He lost Cleo. He lost Cleo. He could have picked them up, but now it's down to him himself as well. And you can see TWM, they have the advantage. They want to try and reset this. They know for a fact they've got the numbers, but they don't want to deal with the potential QBS coming from Draco. But look at this, Draco, he's looking for a switch up. He dropped his QBS and swapped for UMP here. Looks like he wants to try and go for a 1v3 strategy.
He is expecting a push upon himself by the players of TWM, considering they still have the numbers advantage. But here's the third party, Metal Esports, showing up out of nowhere.
Third party comes into play, and Metal Esports, they decide to crash the party. They're here to claim all the pieces of the pie. They're here to get all the elimination points as they can. Metal Esports, they've got all the players up in line. Everyone looks in good shape and form. Everyone's pretty healthy. Kyoya too now. He knows there's a couple of more foes lying around in the opposite building, so goes ahead, tosses on the utilities, but still the fight isn't breaking out in full form.
No, everybody's just bleeding out utilities on this north side of the shelter of this compound. TWM, they won on first fuse that actually finished off. However, fortunately for them, they have Ninja across the map to provide a little bit of support prior. But no, a big nade comes in. Lobster gets Knob, and Destiny, he's going to call for quits and bail out and retreat here, losing and sacrificing Lobster. However, need I remind you, there is a sneaky little rat up on top of the compound.
Once again, TWM. This is not a good way. They would want things to end for themselves, and that's why now they're going for the resurrection out of the fallen player. At least TWM will be back up with a three-man squad, so that's a good way to look at things. But Night Owls, they've been eliminated from the game too with 5 elimination points.
Wow, very aggressive start for them. However, TWM, I'm surprised by this. Lobster was able to be picked up. He's actually going to be resetting with the rest of the members. They are going to play the long game. 13 teams left, and they want to try and hold position as much as they can because Circle 42 seconds left before he closes in to show Circle 5 coming in.
Exactly, and this is going to be still an extended fight till the next zone happens, and I think even beyond that.
Yeah.
Because even on the radar, if you see there are two teams, one present towards the north, that is MICI, another squad present towards the eastern side, that is God's Reign. And if we have a western shift now, or even a southern shift, both those two teams are going to be forced to move out of their cover positions. That means they are going to go around these compounds, they will hear all the commotion, and they will also get greedy for points.
Speaking of situations here, we do see God's Reign on the east side, right? They've got a couple of scouts coming in. They're getting so much information of this fight's coming in down the north here. They're still debating whether or not they want to kind of contest this, or do they want to rotate away. But it seems like they are going to be the safe side. They're saying the circle shifting down means they are going to back out.
Oh, and Cora gets knocked out. This is not a good news. Metal Esports, they end up giving an opening to the opponent team, but still TWM, they're not going to have any type of intentions of actually making the push, and at the same time, even the circle shift comes into play. It's going to shift down south, right on top of the players of X-Spark, and that's why you hear the crowd going wild. But this fight too breaks out, and Metal Esports, they're going to put an end, the nail in the coffin against the players of TWM.
Oh, they have to be quick here. 20 more seconds left. Every single team is just rushing their way through.
Gladiator Esports, they just wipe out the entirety of the opponent team, which is growing strong, not inside the game anymore. Within a flash, you see them eliminated.
Well, fortunately for them, Gladiators, they were able to reset this because they've got 7 finish points for themselves, and they are in top 8 guaranteed for now as they try to dictate the momentum they're going for. But as of now, because they quickly wrapped out the south side, look at this. We are going to see a lot of teams going to lose out on the south side because Gods is going to be raining down from on top, and MDL, they are going to try to push out towards high ground to get those information.
Oh, this is going to be the fight of the century. Gods Rain, they've got the high ground to play with, but Metal Esports getting shot from the back line. Too. This is not really good news. Even from the opposite side, a couple of pop shots are being taken against them. MICI Esports right now is being a big thorn in their way. Big Brother Esports as well gets eliminated while we are on the way.
That compound fight earlier was a big trap for Metal, and they are getting stuck deeper and deeper within this trap.
Oh boy, speaking of traps here, a lot of teams are slowly inching away, using every single pixel possible. Metal getting completely camped out by Gods as well. Aqua throwing a lot of pressure coming in, and Metal, it seems like they're right at the edge of the next phase of circle, but the legs, Paradox, no way!
Players caught out in the open, and they're starting to get knocked out. Left, right, and center. Metal Esports out in the open, nowhere to go. And for the other players, it's a feast being served on a silver platter. God's Reign, they're just taking shots against them, claiming all the elimination points that are out in the open. But while doing so, they've lost out on Blaze. They need to get this man back up on his feet. But this nade from Ninja Jar might just seal the deal. A nade comes into play together, and the entirety of Metal Esports, they get eliminated down in the dust.
Top 5 players, rank 1, Ninja George showcasing why he's the best of the best. God's Reign managed to rain down upon Metal Esports right from the get-go, trying to take the throne away from them, down with 5 finishes at a 7 placement guaranteed, 6 as well, but at the same time they managed going for a reset. However, they are 3-man alive. That means they are going to be losing out a lot of space. However, Circle 6 is about to reveal themselves.
Yeah, for God's Reign, it's always important to keep Aquanox and Ninja Jord alive. Robin, he's the IGL. I think he's going to provide a lot more information to his team, but with OR and Gladiators down to 1 and 2 players respectively, I guess we're pretty much in the top 4 of this game.
Max out in the open all by himself, the last glimmer of hope for his team, and Godbot spotted out a couple of players of Team X-Spark. For X-Spark, this is a date with destiny. If they do manage to open things on a fantastic note, of course the crowd's going to go wild. But for X-Spark, this is the ideal start they would want to have inside the Grand Finals. Speaking about Gladiator Esports 2 moving around in the open, speaking about Gladiator Esports, for them the breaching point's going to be a little bit more tough. Oh, shots taken.
Oh boy, this is scary. I'm genuinely scared for this guy, for the rest as well, because Godbot is just pinstring everyone right at the edge, taking advantage of the height. However, they're outside the circle. They need to make move very, very soon. Eclipse trying his best to try and pop a couple of buggy tires. Unfortunately, it's a little bit too far to hit off. But as of now, they are going to be staying in their way through here to try and get a little bit more finishes and value to try and bleed out those resources.
What is Mac from OR Esports doing? We see him sitting in a vehicle.
Delta PG knocked out. This is not a good news. Godsreen, Blaze now going for the patch up, and Godsreen, they want to make the send up happen. They want to make the push happen against the leftover players of Gladiators. And Destro on the front line, still just prone out in the open. Destro needs to wake up, needs to get back up on his feet to make it in the safe zone. He does not really have a lot of time. Team X-Spark now going forward, move forward to invade the players of Growing Strong. And Growing Strong already, the first knock hits the board. One man gets knocked out. This is not a good news for them. Godbot is the man who gets knocked out, and that is supposed to be their star player. Another knock comes into play, but from the back, it's the players of Godsreen who play the spoiler, who spoil the party. And Team X-Spark, they find the ideal opening, they find the dream opening they were looking for.
Oh, they made a mistake. Their vehicle actually exploded at the edge and actually killed the teammates. However, now Team X-Spark is going to try and make a jump on this as well.
The last man gets popped out as well. Sarang is doing a fantastic job, and the entirety of the opponent team growing strong. They come crashing down. Growing strong, not inside the game anymore, but now still we've got final 4 teams alive.
All 4 teams. Aqua is going to be looking at Soria. They ran him. Ninja Joe, they pinned him down, and Soria has absolutely no chance at all.
What a run over there. What a moment from God's Reign. But now, the 2 top contenders. We have the top 2 contenders of this match. The first chicken dinner of the grand final. God's Reign and X-Park. Both the teams present with 3 players on God's Reign, 4 on X-Park. And then, we have the outsider.
Top 2. 1v1s. In this case, it is going to be very difficult for God's Reign. They've got 3 men up, and X-Park's got 4 men. They've got the utilities. However, information-wise, God's Reign has got so much information on Team X-Park, whereas X-Park, they're still using the smokes to try and form up their rotations. Pukar thinking about scouting out ahead. They still don't know exactly where Ninja is. Ninja does have a pixel. He briefly spots Sarang in towards the smoke on top of the roof here. He's gonna go replay, and he gets the knock from Jode.
Opening down, and now God's Reign, they're just gonna rain down death and destruction, but Ninja, the return knock comes in, he gets knocked out himself, and now the entirety of God's Reign, they collapse against the supreme Team X-Spark, and Team X-Spark is going to be the one to kick things off in a fantastic note with that chicken dinner.
X-Spark, what a way, what a statement here for the grand finals in day 1.
Exactly. I mean, they changed their drop. They came with a new drop in this map. Usually we see them starting from the Georgia City. They started from Ferry Pier Primos this game. And that worked out so nicely because it was a Western Circle.
With the circle, with the fans here in the Dome, Mumbai, India. The support, the energy, the expectation being set upon them. They came here swinging like a man, and they delivered.
They needed to deliver. All the fans had so many expectations from them, and they have gotten the dream start that they were looking for. Now it's all going to come down to the consistency for X-Spark to move on forward with the same pace.
You can see the celebrations around the nations. The crowds absolutely bowing down to the gods. X-Spark, what a way to start our grand finals, my gentlemen.
I mean, quite an amazing start to the grand finals, as I mentioned. But again, Necro also mentioned an important thing. Can they keep this going throughout the entire day? Because now in this game, after this match, what we'll witness is God's Reign is going to be quite close to them. MICI also did walk away with a decent number of finishes. I mean, you have teams picking up eliminations, but getting out of the game a little bit early, because of which the differences in terms of points, it's not going to be much.
Well, all things considered, that was pretty much them playing here. Let's take a look at the highlights on how all the things have happened throughout the entirety of the match here. I want to see what the reactions are for the players, but we got a little bit of glimpse here. They were very, very focused, and that's a good thing. Means they are mentally prepared for the grand finals.
We need to speak about the night out start too. That was a banger of a start from that guy, Dreams. Managing to take down 2 players to CS Esports, then his teammate got the 3rd player down as well. CS Esports was one of those teams that I genuinely thought would be able to kick things off on a fantastic note.
I mean, exactly. CS Esports and Night Owls, massive expectations were there from both these teams. But Necro, I mean, with 7 eliminations and 0 points for placement, does it even matter?
Yeah,
well, all things considered here, sometimes it's all about testing your waters, right? You gotta, test your opponents. Are they feeling themselves or are they not feeling themselves? In this case, they came out singing. No one expected that as well. I was expecting this coming from 4 a.m. in particular. They are known for their aggression. They are playing very, very well. But today, Night Owls, they came in swinging. And there were a lot of talks as well. Night Owls might not be able to perform. Early game, they did great, but they have issues coming in replacements here. So hopefully they were able to fix things out, but you can see the crowd, they are trying their best. The support, Night Owls, wow.
Well, celebrations with Scout after the chicken dinner for Team X-Park over there, which is quite obvious. But I think what the people want to see is Scout step up on that stage for once in the grand finals and see if he's going to play a few games. But that is a question for another time, although right now as we were talking about these teams, in particular, I think as you were talking about those early fights, I was expecting that X-Park, TWM, 4 a.m. collision in Georgia Pole, but as we mentioned, did not happen because of the drop.